This video is indeed rated B for you'd better back on out of here if you don't want spoilers, buddy. Within the world of Final Fantasy XIV, there yet remain many mysteries, even after 10 years of storytelling. With many of those mysteries existing within the thousands of years of lost history between the current day and the paradise-like age of the ancients. Some people have trouble recalling the events of the previous day, so trying to learn what happened over 12,000 years of history can definitely muddy the waters, especially when those things you're looking for are small enough to fit in the palm of your hand. Today, my friends, we'll be discussing the mystery surrounding the catalyst of Dawntrail's dramatic events. Gather around as we attempt to discover the truth behind the expansion's mysterious key and its supposed connection to the ancient known as Azem. The first thing of note when discussing this odd trinket is how the apparatus of electrope surrounding the crystal inside has nothing to do with the relic itself. Indeed, this entire chalice-like shape created by the electrope was simply built to try and harness the powers of the small crystal inside. This chalice is simply a means to an end, not the root of the item's power. Thus, the focus of our investigation today will not be covering the electrope container very much. If you strip away the wires, the chalice surrounding it, and everything else, you're left with a small, palm-sized crystal that was once a relic of the Alo Lalafell. Anyone who's completed the story of Dawntrail knows all about how the Malalan Lalafell were the original holders of this relic, which means it was never an item native to the reflection that Alexandria was from. It was originally located here, upon the source, for an unknown amount of time. And when I say unknown, I truly mean it, because I can't say with confidence how long the Malalans had the crystal or where they found it in the first place. Even they themselves don't know terribly much about it, despite being the ones who obtained it. I quote, "The Malala are the keepers of a mighty relic passed down through the ages. While it has the appearance of a crystal, by whose hand it was wrought is unknown." If this quote is honest, the Malala didn't know where this crystal came from or who created it, only that it possessed tremendous magical potential. During the fifth Umbral Calamity, the Calamity of Vice, their speaker prayed to the crystal with all her might. Eventually, it responds, using strange etheric power to warp the space between the source and a neighboring reflection, allowing those Lalafell to flee and escape the Calamity of Ice. From this explanation, we can assume that the speaker didn't exactly know what she was doing. She knew that this relic was old and powerful, but did not exactly understand how to wield its magic efficiently. Instead, she prayed to it, thus triggering an etheric reaction. This line of dialogue is incredibly important because it's not the first time we've seen it. Back during the events of Shadowbringers, you meet with the recreated ancient of Hythlodaeus. This arcane entity was made by Emet-Selch in the image of a long-lost friend, and despite the often jaded and rough exterior that Hades is known for, he made sure to recreate his companion with the same patience and empathy that the original possessed. It's during this expansion that you eventually obtain a strange yet powerful orange crystal, and Hythlodaeus explains that it represents the station of Azem, a once distinguished member of the Convocation of 14, now stricken from history over their perceived betrayal. We learn that even though the rest of the Convocation had redacted much of Azem's existence, Emet-Selch was still one of their best friends, and apparently couldn't live with the idea that their once beloved comrade would never be remembered. Thus, Emet-Selch created something special, a brilliant crystal emblazed with the mark of Azem. But he did not stop there. He also heavily enchanted it with one of his friend's most beloved spells, something he likely felt Azem would appreciate. This incantation has the power to bridge space and bring one's allies to their side in times of dire need. The Shadow of Hythlodaeus explains it thusly. No crystal exists for the individual in question, or shouldn't exist at any rate, and wouldn't had a friend not created one in secret. A crystal bearing the forgotten name of their office, along with a magic of their own conceiving, a singular incantation embodying their spirit. Nay, more often than not, they would call upon their comrades, and together resolve matters themselves, such as the magic sealed within that crystal, the magic to summon the stars to your side. In time of great need, should you wish upon it with all your heart, it will surely answer your call, and now it is where it belongs. Notice how Hythlodaeus explains the crystal's activation. Should you wish upon it with all your heart. So now we have two crystals, both with the ability to bend space and move things, both react to strong feelings and desires, and both resonate with the mark of Azem. These connections feel far too similar to be a coincidence, don't they? Thanks to jobs like Dark Knight, we know that magic doesn't necessarily need special components, as ether can react to your feelings and prayers just as easily as runes and glyphs given the proper circumstances. Which makes the trigger for this spell feel somewhat deliberate. It would appear, my friends, that in the Convocation's haste to redact and remove many of Azem's knowledge and accomplishments, something seems to have fallen through the cracks, or more likely, this crystal is something that Azem lost once upon a time. Listen to this excerpt from Tales of the Dawn, Days Gone By, Days Yet to Come, from Endwalker. Oh my, how careless of our Azem. Thus spoke Hythlodaeus, having ambled into his office at the Bureau of the Architect to find a crystal sitting rather conspicuously on a chair reserved for guests. Slipped from a singularly adventurous pocket, no doubt. He marveled at the way the light played on its facets, like the surface of a tranquil lake, and recalled the first visitor he had received that morning. Azem had sought the chief's assistance with the refinement of the 14th in their series of concepts to help ease the burdens of travel, which was contained within the palm-sized crystal. Absent of such comforts, how unbearable your wanderings will surely be, he mused aloud as he collected his friend's crystal. Thanks to this short story, we've learned a few things. The ancients were a very creative and excitable culture, always eager to show off their most recent ideas and concepts to one another, and it would appear that Azem was no different. Now, the crystal in question could simply be a container for different spells and ideas that Azem had conceived over time. After all, the ancients were fond of recording their thoughts and events into crystals. But notice how in the story, the concept that Azem had presented to Hythlodaeus seemed to possess the ability to, specifically, ease the burdens of travel. Again, this sounds awfully familiar, because was it not the Malalans' desire to travel to a place that wasn't covered by ice and snow? Such impressive traveling magic seems to be within Azem's domain. Not only that, they seemed to have an affinity for such things, and was improving upon their list of spells with every iteration. While it's not uncommon for us to see the Ascians teleport from place to place, it's possible that Azem had already taken this spell school a step further, being able to transport not only themselves, but multiple people, creatures, and things all at once. Because of this, it seems like they're simply creating different types of teleportation or traveling spells. But what if Azem's true power was much more grand than that? We know that some ancients possessed the power to alter or warp things like time within limited spaces. Even Nabrialis, in his sundered form, proved that the power of an ancient's time magic was not to be underestimated. But instead of caring about the power one can have over time, what if Azum's true affinity was in the manipulation and control of space? You definitely don't need to be a renowned physicist to know that being able to alter, warp, and control the fabric of space itself would make someone incredibly powerful. Likely powerful enough to earn themselves a position on the Convocation of 14. Azum did not create the crystal we've been using to summon allies to our side this whole time. It was a creation of Emet-Selch to honor a long-lost friend and record one of their favorite spells. But that means that the incantation we've been using this entire time is a mimicry of another person's power, which begs the question, how strong would that spell be if it was handcrafted by the original creator, by Azum themselves? What if the crystal contained within Electrope isn't just some random relic or estranged piece of white Auracite, but something created deliberately by an ancient with a remarkable understanding of space manipulation? Indeed, my friends, if the connections we've discussed today hold any water, then it may very well be the case that an old, long-lost relic of Azum's has finally found its way back into the hands of its master. And as for how it ended up in the custody of the Malala, well, Hythlodaeus did say that their dear friend was sometimes careless with their belongings. This crystal may very well be one of Azum's many creations, simply lost and forgotten, only to be rediscovered many thousands of years later. Although, my friends, I must admit, what I've provided you, at best, is an educated guess steeped in the lore of this MMO, and at worst, what I've just regurgitated is complete conjecture. However, I now pose the question to you. Based on what you know now, do you think this crystal is one of Azum's creations come home to roost? Or do you think it's something entirely different that just so happens to resonate with the power of Azum's magic? I look forward to seeing your thoughts in the comment section below, as I eagerly await any more data that we might learn about this strange yet powerful relic. But for now, we must wait to learn more. And until we discuss more of Dawntrail's mysteries together, as always, stay safe, my friends. Thank you all for watching. If you enjoy my content, it would mean the world to me if I had earned you as a subscriber. We are currently on the road to 50k, and I'd love to have you as part of that journey. I'd also like to take this time to thank my amazing Patreon supporters: Nanima, Amina Viltaria, Slippers, Ozkan Hawk, Naria O'Meara, Potato, Seth Rosewood, and Sinalv Bagel. Your support has always meant so much to me and helps to keep the content flowing with ease. If you're interested, there are additional links down in the description to my Discord, X, and other things as well. But until I see you again, I hope you're having an amazing day. Class dismissed.